Good morning, everybody. Hello. We're very happy to have you this morning. Before we get started in our training, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Lumu and a little bit about kind of just the different tiers of Lumu and what you're seeing today and kind of contextualizing that a little bit for you. So here at Lumu, we have 3 different tiers of the product and the functionality that we offer. We have Lumu Free, which gives you visibility into the network, kind of lets you know what's going on at a high level. Then we have Lumu Insights, which shows you asset level visibility about, contact with adversarial infrastructure, kind of gives you that detail about when you're in contact with threat actors and what's happening across the network so that you can, respond more precisely to things that you discover across the network. So that's Lumu Insights. And then we have Lumu Defender. So Defenders are a tier where you're able to not only see everything that you see with Lumu Insights, but to actually be able to respond to that in real time. And that's what we're going to be demonstrating today with our integration. This particular integration we're going to be showing is with the SentinelOne XDR. And so you're just going to see what that looks like, when we find things on the Lumu side, how we can integrate, how we can orchestrate response through SentinelOne. So that's what you can expect to see in our training today. Kind of the order of things. I'll first kind of go into the portal because I think it's good to just give you an overview of what you're seeing there and what you can expect to see in the portal. And then just kind of take a look at an incident. We also wanted to show you guys a really cool new feature of ours, some threat intelligence that we have, additional threat intelligence with the MITRE Global ATT&CK Matrix functionality. So it kind of shows you, specific to your organization, the different threats that are targeting you and what you're seeing for the most part. So it's a pretty cool feature. And then we're going to go into the sort of step-by-step processes of like adding your SentinelOne integration for that attack response to be able to feed all of that data to SentinelOne. And so that's kind of what we'll wrap with, and then we'll take some questions at the end. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. For demo purposes, I'm going to actually turn my camera off to conserve a little bandwidth here. Okay, so here we are in the Lumu portal. I like to give an overview of what you can expect to see here. As we get into these trainings, I think it's always good to kind of take a look around and understand what you're looking at, right? So when you first log into the portal, you're going to see this overview tab. Really what you're seeing here is just kind of gives you a general understanding of everything that's happening, right? The incidents that you have opened, endpoints or assets being affected across the organization, labels affected, kind of high level information, seeing kind of what's going on that daily basis there. That's really what you're looking at there. But I want to focus a little bit on incidents just to kind of contextualize what we're going to be integrating later with that SentinelOne integration, right? You're seeing all of this activity here in the incidents tab. You're seeing different events associated with malware, with phishing, with C2C. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time to just kind of go through them and talk you through a little bit about what you can expect to see within incidents. So in the incidents view itself, again, you've got that number of open incidents, just kind of giving you an idea of what's going on. Open incidents basically mean that the incident hasn't been closed yet. So you'll see within the incident itself, the status of that. You can go ahead and close it from here and manage your incident from within the incident, but we'll just take a look and investigate this malware example first. So this is an example of a malicious domain. This one in particular is associated with malware, as we can see. So the status of this incident, open, the last time anybody logged in here or did anything within the incident, and then detections. That's going to tell you what those specific endpoints are that are being impacted by this malware-related IOC in this example, right? So if you look down here, you can see the endpoints affected. You can get a little bit more information about that by clicking here and getting kind of the granular details around that particular endpoint and the contact being made with that endpoint. You can also see more details, for those who are more technical and need this kind of information. And any of that, any of the endpoints, any of that kind of detection activity, how it's moving across the organization, that's what you're going to see here in the first tab. Next, you have your highlights tab. So here in the highlights, you kind of just get an understanding of what's been happening in terms of, timeline with this incident, when it was first opened, when the contact with that malicious domain was first made, the last contact with that domain, how long it's been open, things like that. Just this is kind of the general information you'll see here in the highlights tab. And then you're going to see any labels that are being affected in the organization, just to be able to, again, prioritize incidents. So in this case, this is kind of a low-level risk. In this example, you're going to see attack distribution, which is just kind of a way of visualizing when there's contact with many different assets or many different times that this end user is making contact with that IOC. You're going to be able to see that and visualize that there. Next, we have the threat intelligence tab, where you can get a little bit more information about this particular threat. So you can see any related files if that's there, threat triggers. This is where you really get kind of the context and the malware incident response playbook, for example. This is a malware incident. This is where you're going to get kind of those details about how you can respond. And if there's any related files, any hash files, which I'll show you in a later example when we go ahead and integrate our S1 integration, any hash files, any information like that, any kind of threat intelligence that kind of helps you take action, that's what you're going to see in the threat intelligence tab there. And then lastly, you have that MITRE ATT&CK Matrix tab. So generally speaking, these events, this is, just a demo incident. This isn't a real one, but generally speaking, you're going to see in the MITRE ATT&CK Matrix tab, the technique that was used in this particular incident. And one of the new features that we have, again, this is kind of just a demo incident, but each incident does have its information about the MITRE ATT&CK Matrix so that you can kind of understand what's happening. And one of the newer things that we now have is our MITRE ATT&CK tab here under intelligence. So not only do each of the incidents have, their MITRE ATT&CK Matrix information, each individual incident, but at a higher level, you can go here to the intelligence tab and see, kind of that bird's eye view of the tactics and techniques being used against your organization specifically. So within the incidents, each incident has its own sort of MITRE ATT&CK Matrix associated with it. But here in this tab, this is where you're going to see like the majority of incidents, what kind of techniques are being used against your organization. So this is a really cool, really interesting feature that can kind of, at a high level, help you adjust your cybersecurity stack, right? So the way that you can see the information, the way that you can visualize that information is up to you. You can see, within the last week, what kind of techniques have been used against you last week, this month. You can just kind of select the time frame that you'd like to see. I'll do this here just for this example. And then you can also select different types of labels. So you want to see, if you want to see incidents that are high business relevance, to kind of help you prioritize a little bit with those labels that you've established. All the metadata collectors can be assigned labels that can help you kind of prioritize that. I know we've been over that a little bit in previous trainings, but again, you can just kind of sort through and really filter down to the information that you want to see to help you prioritize better. And that's the idea of this global attack matrix. You can put, let's say high priority incidents with that label, and then that's going to populate below all of the different attacks and techniques so far this year that are affecting your high priority labeled incidents. So this, what's really cool about it is just being able to, better understand how things are impacting your organization and what attackers are doing, to specifically get into your organization and what techniques they're using to carry out those attacks, against your organization specifically. And this, again, is all based on incident information and the majority of what we're seeing out there. So in this example, the first thing we see here is command and control. That seems to be highest on the list here. This seems to have 41 incidents associated with it. Application layer protocol seems to be the technique or the sub techniques used here with the command and control. And what's really great about it is you can just click right here. And this is going to give you sort of a summary and a breakdown of what this technique does, kind of how it works. And that really helps you understand, how this could potentially impact your business, right? Not only that, but you can link here. You click here on this link and you go into the MITRE ATT&CK Matrix environment itself. So this is where you can also just get more information about the techniques and sub-techniques being used in this particular approach by threat actors towards your organization. So this information really helps you kind of apply a more targeted response to these types of threats and to really protect your organization against these types of threats. And so that you can do what's most important to protect your organization towards, the threats that are impacting you the most. It's really about prioritization and preparation, really being able to respond to that and being able to respond, with intention and with precision. That's a lot about of what we talk about here at Lumu, being very intentional in the way that we respond to threats and the way that we, enable our customers to have the information that they need to properly handle these incidents, right? So you have everything listed there, the different tactics and techniques. Then you also have this heat map below, which is just another way of visualizing the information, really. It kind of shows you where we're seeing most of things, with the lightest color being less incidents and the darkest color being more or most of the incidents that we're seeing. So it's just, again, just a different way to visualize this information. And you can download that heat map. It'll just download a photo file for you. All right, so that's the MITRE ATT&CK Matrix. Of course, we have this, we have, the incident, but, it's important to be able to respond in real time and to be able to kind of get ahead of these threats before they can impact the organization. And, at Lumu, it's a huge priority for us to continue to add to our integration ecosystem and to continue partnering with different vendors that can help our customers make the most of their existing cybersecurity tools and their existing stack. So what we're going to take a look at next is the integrations tab here. And now at this point, we're going to explore the integration of our SentinelOne response integration. Okay, so let's add SentinelOne here. Now, once we click, you're going to see just a little bit of information about this integration. We're going to see how it works. We're going to go ahead and click activate. So here we'll enter a name for this demonstration. And then we're going to select some threat types that we want to respond to with this integration. So the idea is to select all of them. Now we can click on next. Here you're going to enter and copy paste your base URL. So that's going to be your SentinelOne console URL there. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. I'm just going to copy that here. And then we're going to paste that here. Make sure, though, that you remove that / from after net. Okay. Then we'll get that API token that's also going to be found in your SentinelOne console. Copy paste that there. And then we always suggest, as well as that, to put the expiration date of your API token. So, just depending on that expiration date, this is, for informational purposes only, and to be able to kind of stay on top of when that expires. So really the token is, from when that was created, you're going to want to put that expiration date or a little bit before that even, so that you're reminded and you're able to update that as needed, okay? So we'll click on next. Okay, so at this point, to activate your integration, by the way, when you're going through this process, you'll be advised if there's any errors. So far, we're good to go, and we're going to go ahead and activate our integration. So in order to do that, we select a scope or a particular group. That's how we're going to configure it in this example with SentinelOne. So we're going to select our account name. When you select your account, then your site name, and your group name as well. So we have this Lumu test one for this particular demo, and that you're going to see it now in the SentinelOne console. It's just for the purpose of this demonstration, we have that one set up. So now that we have everything, we have our account name, we have our site name as well, everything, we are going to go ahead and click next. And now we can see that our integration has been successfully created. So we're looking here, this is kind of a confirmation screen. You can see all of the different things that we're protecting against, right? So malware, phishing, C2C, you're seeing everything that was configured there in the previous screens. You're also going to see, that group name, the scope, right? You're going to see the group name, the site, and most importantly, now that we're all set up here, we see the online with that green circle. So that's always going to be your point of reference to ensure that your integration was properly configured. So that's always a very good go-to, just making sure that everything is working properly and that everything within the integration is working correctly. So that's the idea. This is kind of your confirmation screen to make sure that everything's working properly. And you can always come back and check this just to kind of make sure. Now let's go into the SentinelOne environment. Now here we have this open, and we're going to access the Sentinels tab here. So from here, we get that Lumu test group. Remember, we saw that previously in the portal. So there we see the Lumu test. And there we have an endpoint that has the agent running on it. That SentinelOne agent is running on it. So now we have the IP address there that we're collecting, the agent version, and then the desktop itself. You can check details there about, the status of it. It's online. This, this desktop is connected. Agent status. Everything looks to be going well with the SentinelOne agent. Now we're going to test to see that the integration is working. So we're going to go here to the blacklist tab. And basically what we're going to do here is clear the filters from the top. And we're going to look around. Right now, what you're seeing is all of the hashes that are being populated here by SentinelOne and, from other different sources. So you're seeing all of the hashes, everything in the blacklist that's currently there. So this is all, that block list for this group that we're looking at. So everything. Now to look for everything that Lumu put in there, we're going to go to the user, click on that, blacklist source user. All right, it should take a couple minutes to upload. It just really depends. So we'll just refresh a time or two. Let's see. Yeah, it could always take a couple of minutes. Let's see. We can go back to the portal a second. Maybe we'll just look at an incident and kind of show you an example of what the hash data looks on our side. I know we saw an incident before, but I think it's good to just kind of take a look at this one and see like what you can expect to see from the hash perspective on the SentinelOne side. So here's this incident. Remember that threat intelligence tab we looked at earlier has all of that, kind of information about the particular IOC and what you're seeing there, right? We looked at this a little bit earlier, just kind of the different tabs. But really, under that threat intelligence tab, what we didn't see in the previous incident were hash files. And this generally, just kind of varies on the incident if there's hash files or not. But this is what you're going to expect to see in that SentinelOne environment being imported. All of those hashes are the ones that you're going to want to look for and that you're going to actually see populated in that SentinelOne console. So that's really what we're talking about when we talk about, the hashes and what you can expect to see there. So let's go back and let's see if we've got anything yet. Let's just do it one more time. Give it another minute or so. When we first configured it, could take a couple minutes. So let's just make sure that our integration is set up properly. Okay, we're online, so we should be good. Give it just another minute. All right. Reloading again. All right. All right, so I think we're good now. We have our hashes imported now, our IOCs uploaded from our Lumu integration. There we go. So now if we want to check those Lumu ones, again, you go to that user filter. That's how it's going to work here, just the blacklist source user. And that's how you're going to see the 3,400 or so IOCs that have been pushed by Lumu. So those are Lumu specific IOCs, and you can see them populated below as well. So we're going to do an example now with a virtual machine. We have those IOCs uploaded. We have this virtual environment as well, where you can see basically an example of this in action. So this machine has the SentinelOne agent on it. We're good to go. And this individual user, what they're going to try to do here is extract these files. So we're going to just show an example of now how Lumu's feeding that information to SentinelOne. We try to extract these files. Now the SentinelOne agent, as you can see, has detected a threat that's been triggered and shown to the end user, and the threat has been mitigated. Now, if you click on, the SentinelOne agent here, if we take a closer look at it, put it up. So now through the SentinelOne agent, you can see the status of that risk that was mitigated, what it was. Gives you a little bit more information, a bit more detail about what happened and, the threat that was mitigated by that, agent and through the IOC that was found there. So now we can check it from the console side, the SentinelOne console, to actually look at the incident itself from that perspective, from the SentinelOne management console perspective. And there it is. There's our incident that we just generated through the example. So the exe file and the details there about that incident. So you click on it. And now here you can see all of the relevant information about what happened. You see that actual asset, the name of that user's device. You can see, the path information as well. So everything that you really need to know about what it was that took place. You can also see basically, the source, right? The reason this was blocked, right? The engine there, that's what shows you that user-defined blacklist. That is the reason, and that is what was configured to ensure that this was done. You also see that this was classified as malware and kind of like a little bit more detail about why this was blocked with that IOC, right? So you're getting all of the relevant information that you need to know about, what it was that happened. So yeah, that's essentially how we show on the SentinelOne side the incident information. So you can see all of the details that you need around what happened, so that, on the SentinelOne side, you're informed and that Lumu's constantly feeding that information. So ensuring that, those end users, those that have SentinelOne and that have that intelligence from Lumu are going to be blocked. So that's basically how it works. That is our Lumu and SentinelOne integration. All right, so back in our Lumu portal, just one final thing before we wrap up for today. I did want to show you how to essentially get access to support. Here with the orange question mark, you have the ability to open a support ticket directly with our support team. If you have any questions about anything or anything should come up and you need to get in touch with the support team, you can always do that from the portal. Not only that, but we have a ton of resources here, different articles. We have documentation available as well. We have a ton of great detailed documentation, actually, even about the SentinelOne integration itself, the one that we just went over. So SentinelOne response integration. So we have a lot of great resources here. If you have any questions or need anything, you can always come here to the Lumu portal to get that. So guys, that kind of wraps it up in terms of the content that we wanted to share in today's training. I hope that was informative. We're going to go ahead and take any questions that you might have at this point.